Welcome. This is Zangler, the Tesla Semi Advocate, and what you see here are two brand new long-range Atlas semis fresh off the production line. And there are a few interesting things to see today. It's been about 6 days. No, it's been exactly 6 days since my last flight, and there are a few things to see. That commercial building right there on the right, bottom right, is almost certainly leased by Tesla, either 100% or partially. And I'm curious about the new twin that goes up, the new twin building. Will Tesla also lease that? Perhaps set it up for end-of-line storing of Tesla semis before they get delivered, or storing supplier parts or raw materials. So now we're going to we're coming in from next to the guard gate, my new drone location. This is the northeast corner of the building, and it's a Saturday. Last Sunday, we saw that there was very little activity, and I frankly am surprised to see that there are very few vehicles in the parking lot on a Saturday. So they are not at a place, I mean, I would think that they're at least working on the production line, and maybe that's what the vehicles here are doing rather than actually producing semis. They're actually tweaking the line, and they have to shut it down to make those tweaks and calibrations. This end-of-line area has grown here where you see this short range, I should say standard range. It's like marketing at Starbucks. There is no short range. There's standard range and long range. These water-filled orange barrels have been rearranged a little bit and to make more room for these end-of-line semis. The ones that were partially assembled on the left that we'll see in a second, we'll see the area here in a second, they've been moved. They're no longer there. So maybe they've finished them, got the parts that were needed, and delivered them to probably the engineering endurance testing unit. Some people are asking about, when will they deliver them to customers? I believe for quite some period of time, they're going to deliver them to the Tesla engineering / endurance testing division, which has them and is putting miles on them, much the same way as they put miles on the Arcus original version. It's a good looking truck, all shiny and clean and new. So of course I spent quite a bit of time looking at these two new long-range Tesla semis, giving you a really good view. The fairings are now made of metal, and you can see the seam and some crinkles where they've been welded together. And no big deal to me. These are trucks. These are work trucks, not show trucks. And there's a standard range without fairing. And the fairing has nothing to do, the tall fairing or the short fairing has everything to do with the trailer and nothing to do with whether or not it's long range or standard range. They use the tall fairing for regular utility trailers, full size, full height utility trailers, and they use the short one for flatbed trailers for aerodynamics. In a minute, we'll start proceeding on the circumnavigation. And there is where there where that tarp is, or whatever that is where there were some partially assembled vehicles and even a frame covered. Another set of megachargers for 6 megacharger stalls, just like we see here. I believe it'll look just like this one does eventually. Not sure what the timeline is for that. In a southerly direction, we come across some bins and some fairings right there that have not been painted. And you can see they're silver sheet metal. Not sure if those are defects. And here we have inner cabs. My guess is these are defects and what they call space frames, the area that goes behind the cab. That truck there is either picking up or dropping off these bins as Tesla continues to clean up the piles of stuff, the POSs. Now we're coming around the southeast corner. Taking a look at the entire building and the surroundings and noticing how few cars are in the parking lot. The fact that Tesla calls this SFNV for Semi-Factory Nevada implies that there will be other semi-factories elsewhere in the United States, and we know that they have talked about putting one in Germany. Again, super curious as to what they're going to do here at the entrance. Some sort of artistic statement, I'm sure, something creative. I think that pad right outside those front doors is new. And that little corner pad is new. Kind of hinting maybe at what's to come. I take a good look at this pile of equipment to see if maybe I can ascertain if it's for this entry area or if it's just a place where they're storing things that will eventually go inside. I do not know. What do you think? All of that HVAC equipment right there, the ducting, looks new to me. I don't recall noticing that in the past. Exactly what's going on here, I don't know, but it looks like these chillers were put on the lower section, part of section G, but are actually for cooling the raised part of section G. Do you spot something in the background? I had mentioned earlier on some other posts how many Tesla semis I saw today, coming and going to the drone takeoff location. I've saw Tesla semis pulling like an oxygen tank into the LFP battery factory. I saw multiple Tesla semis pulling trailers into the Gigafactory proper, GF1, and also coming out of GF1 with drive motors and battery packs headed for Fremont. That area right there that we just saw, I still think is either going to be a warehouse on wheels to feed the factory. It kind of makes sense. The other two warehouse on wheels feed either the Tesla part of GF1 or the Panasonic part. But it also could be where they're going to park 120 to 150 Tesla semis a day when this thing ramps up. We are a long way from that, but if you've listened to the CEO of Tesla, he talks about how that S-curve of a ramp of any production line is highly unpredictable and starts very slow but then accelerates really quickly. We are in the very slow part of the S-curve. As you know, the production line can only go as fast as the unluckiest or slowest supplier and or production line process. So you can have 95% of the process working great, but 5% will keep you from finishing fully complete semis. We are now going up, heading north along the western perimeter of the building. I tell you, I'd like to get a dawn or dusk flight and look in those windows and see if we can see those KUKA robots. But in the summer, the days are so long, that's quite a commitment. Past my bedtime for the dusk one, and the dawn is much more doable for me. So here, I may cut some of this out, but here I'm just looking at the bare flagpole to see if just maybe, like they did for Joe Tegmeyer in Texas, if they happen to have left any little Easter egg on the top of this flagpole. I think all that is a pulley for running the flagpole up and down, or the flag up and down the flagpole. This gives you an idea about how elevated the Tesla semi factory Gigasemi is. There's the NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness testing bumps, and there's a bunch of different kinds. Coming up will be something I'm going to ask you guys what you think this new piece of equipment is that looks permanently parked on the outside at the beginning of the semi-track. Oh, look at that. Looks like they're going to maybe put more in. That right there is one of the first times I've seen them have to tear up finished asphalt to put in something different. If you followed along the Gigafactory in Texas, you saw this all the time, where they would pour concrete or asphalt, tear it up, do something, put something different in. They seem to have planned this out a little better, and that is like one of the first times. And look at that POS. Not point of sale, not piece of stuff, but piles of stuff. There's the test track. And right in the middle is that little object above that trailer that is new, and it looks like it's permanently mounted there. I have absolutely no idea what that could be for. It almost looks like a drag strip Christmas tree for what I've joked in the past will be the Tesla Semi drag strip. I have heard that if you're special, you can turn off the software in the Tesla Semi and smoke the tires. I may or may not have actually seen a video of that. What is that? Don't believe it's nearly tall enough for a Tesla Semi to drive under. Huh. And is this part of it? Something to keep an eye on my next flight. By the way, I'm thinking one flight a week is about right. Just not enough happening on the outside to justify more flights than that. I, like you, am looking at this and trying to figure out what is on these two pallets. And is it related to this? Love to hear your guesses. Speculation is half the fun around here. That little tower right there on the left is also new, that you can just barely make out on both sides. Look. 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 Something new. Now I am pretending I'm a Tesla Semi running down the track. You can see the elevation gain. Most of this was here when this was used, when this area was a warehouse on wheels. They did add a little bit more fill and level it, but this was already a big flat area. There's the runaway truck ramp. A stop sign. I'm thinking that stop sign is for testing FSD, not for controlling traffic. Here is the Tesla Semi advocate with his goofy fishing hat. Thanks for joining.